Hello and welcome back to ZoomTube with vetmedkid. I'm very excited because today I have my buddy Juancho. Juancho, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming that we've been planning to meet, so this is super exciting. And we've been friends on Instagram for a while, so I am super stoked. But my name is Juancho. I am a second year, going to be a third year student at the Ontario Veterinary College in Canada, so located in Guelph, Ontario. And yeah, and right now I am in summer vacation, thank God, and currently just going to start a new job working in a small animal hospital. I just got my job recently, actually yesterday about it. So, and it's really okay. So I moved in with my partner, and our condo is like right, like not even, what would I say, like couple, maybe like 10 feet away from where I live. So it's really convenient, super excited for that. And yeah, so I'm living in London, Ontario. So not the UK. Everybody has thought that I've been talking about the UK, but no, it's Ontario. And yeah, super excited to be here and meeting you.
Very exciting, and congrats on that new job. That's really a good thing for you, and I'm sure you're going to learn heaps while you're there, which is good.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm also a little nervous because I haven't worked in a hospital since I started vet school, right? Like I've been in the school's hospital and stuff, but I haven't actually worked as a technician or an assistant of any sort. So I'm like, oh my God, do I remember anything? Like, I feel like I'm gonna get grilled because I'm a veterinary student. So they're just gonna challenge me, which is good. But so I'm a little nervous, but hopefully it all comes back and there's no issue.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be all right. Like, I mean, things will come back to you definitely, like through what you've learned during vet school, and you just sat like a hectic exam period. Would you like to tell me about that?
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, so yes, exam period for us is insane, but like this year, obviously because of COVID, it was just like more challenging. Everything was online. So how my school does it is usually we dedicate the last month of the semester, which is usually April, to examinations, right? And all of our exams are cumulative. So from the start of the year to the end, it's pretty insane. This year at OC, which is my school, we're known for second year for having like the hardest examinations because we have a class called Principles of Disease. We call it POD, and it's a variety of courses, all like pretty much combined into one. And this is like the amount of information is insane. And to give you an example, our final for this course was 3 days, and it was about 5 hours each day of like content. So the first 2 days were all written. And then the second day was multiple choice. So that's just one exam. So, and I know I was talking to you on Instagram while I was going through this unfortunate time. And, it was really challenging. But, I came out of it and I'm alive, I'm fine. But that is one of my exams. Other courses that I have, they were divided into the other weeks. So I had about 3 exams per week on average, which is a lot, right? Because again, it's cumulative. It's like literally taking everything you learn from an entire year.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cramming. I'm not the best. I'm not the best at like not cramming. I've become I've become very proficient at cramming. So I think that's a skill I've developed in vet school that I'm one of my best.
My friends used to call me the cram master, and I was like, yeah, it like works, but to me, I feel like it only worked for first and second year, and then third year onwards, I was like, I hate this term. I don't want to be a cram master. I just want to know this stuff.
Honestly, I totally agree. I started my vet school just being okay with cramming, and then as I've seen as I've progressed, I'm like, okay, I cannot cram. I need to start studying and feel more like a keener. I need to be more keen and preparing myself. And I think slowly I'm learning to do that. But with this COVID thing, I mean, when it happened, school went all virtually, and everybody literally from Canada went back to their homes, right? And because I'm an international student at OVC, so I originally lived in the United States, but I'm originally from Colombia. So I was born in Colombia, moved to the US. I went to high school and college, university in the US, and then moved to Canada for vet school. So when this happened, like I didn't have the luxury to just be like, oh, I'm gonna go home because they closed the borders.
Yeah.
So that made it a lot difficult. And I actually live in a veterinary fraternity
Okay.
in OVC, so it's called the Omega Tau Sigma. So it's all veterinarians, and I was pretty much quarantining for 2 months by myself with my dogs and this small room, smallish, like a dormitory room. So
Yeah.
it was quite the adventure that I
Far
don't recommend for anybody. But yeah, so it made it more challenging, but also I feel like it made me more resilient
out.
overall, as a student, as a veterinarian.
How did you look after your mental health through that? Because I know for you, going to the gym is like a big thing, and I'm assuming gym was closed, and then you were by yourself, and you seem like somebody who needs like human interaction quite a lot.
Yes, yes. So I'm definitely an extrovert,
Mm.
and extroverts I think were hit the hardest in this pandemic. Like all my introverted friends were like, they seemed okay, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I'm freaking out. But yeah, I'm a big gym goer. Usually when it's open, and it really hit me hard that I couldn't be able to go and kind of have that time away from my room and my studies and just kind of get all that any negative energy or thoughts out.
Mm.
So I started running, which I used to be like more of a runner in high school, but I don't know. I feel like I've gotten older. My knees don't work as well. I don't know, but like I developed some knee pain. I was like, oh my god, great! Like the one thing, right? So I did some at home workouts and stuff like that. But I think the thing that like carried me through with my mental sanity was having my dogs. First of all, I would like take them on long walks and stuff like that,
Mm.
and having my partner. Honestly, like he's from London, Ontario, and I
Yeah.
live in Guelph, which is like about an hour and a half
Right.
from each other. So I would FaceTime all the time. I FaceTime so many friends that I hadn't kept in touch with as frequently for a while, right?
Mm.
And because I've lived in so many places, I have kind of pockets of friends everywhere, and
Yeah.
it was nice to just like just hit one up and talk for hours and just kind of take my mind away from the stress and like the worrying and anxiety of everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I utilize social media a lot actually.
Mm.
So I think that had to play one of the biggest parts on my mental health during COVID. Like I developed this platform with Instagram, and I was like, hey, okay, this is, if there's no better time to do this than right now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start like networking, connecting with more people, and kind of making some goals that I have established for myself, you know, that I wanted to do eventually. But with vet school and just life in general, it just made it kind of difficult. So
Mm.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, and here we are. So like I think I've connected with a lot of people during this time, and started some little cool initiatives that I've been wanting to do. So there's silver linings to everything, right? So it's
Yeah,
not all.
definitely. I mean, I've
Yeah.
definitely seen you've done a heap of different Instagram live story things, which have been really cool to kind of join in on and listen to you chat with other people and find out more about the community in general. One thing that I noticed you kind of grew a lot more was your Latinx community. Would you like to tell me more about that? Because that's an epic thing that I reckon you're doing.
Of course, of course. So okay, so I wanted to become a veterinarian ever since I was very little, right? And like I said, I was born in Colombia, and then my family migrated to the U.S. And growing up, like ever since I was like very, very little, I was like, I'm set on being a vet, but I never had like a role model or an example that I could look up to and be like, hey, that person looks like me, or like speaks my language, and and encourages me to like go through that immense process of becoming a vet. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of mentoring that needs to happen for somebody to be successful to get into vet school
Mm.
and become a doctor, right? So I saw that there was a huge lack of that, right? And growing up, I was told many times, I was like, veterinary medicine is super hard, so um, find a plan B, right? Or like I even worked in emergency in Milwaukee where I got my undergrad bachelor's degree. um, Doctors would tell me like, don't go to vet school, it's not worth it. And I would hear all this stuff, and I would process it, but like no matter what I heard, like I always still was very strong on like,
Mm.
hey, I want to be a doctor, right? And that was my number one goal. So once I got accepted, I was like, okay, well, I fulfill this huge dream that I had, but then what do I do now, right? Like, it's like my whole life was revolved around that. And I'm like, oh my God. So, I said, there's no representation for people like me or children that grew up like me to make it easier, right? To make this dream like a reality. Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh my God, you're living my childhood dream, right? When you say that you're in vet school and stuff like that, so many people. So I'm like, how many kids that were like Latinx had probably that dream and just kind of gave up because they were told that it was too hard, or they just didn't feel like they belonged, right? So I was like, okay, this needs to change. And I made I started researching some things. I saw that the Black Student Association for Veterinary Medicine had their own organization. And I saw somebody post on Instagram, like, oh, we're going to this like conference, like for Black students in veterinary medicine. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm like, there has to be some for like Latinx students, right? Like there has to. And I did so much research and I didn't find anything, right? So I was like, okay, this is my next goal. So I'm gonna start a community. And I started just kind of networking at my school and just talking to professors here and there and the dean. And then through social media, I created my platform for that to create more awareness, more visibility, representation of any sort. And I began to network more, and that's where I met Yvette, Yvette the vet. So we just connected, and we started talking one day. It's like, oh, my dream's to do this, and we're like, oh my God, we have the same dream. Let's like share notes. And it turns out that she was literally doing the same thing I was at Cornell. So we decided to go ahead and like kind of join forces and co-found the Latinx Veterinary Medical Association. And then it was just me, her, and then some, I believe 4 girls from Cornell. And yeah, and we didn't know what we were doing, right? Like it's totally new to us. We were like, oh my God, how do we start? So I've always utilized social media and like I've understood the power of social media like for a very long time. So I was like, okay, we need to get the word out first, and then build the organization officially as we go. And that's what we decided to do. And honestly, we released our logo and the community itself, and it just took off from there. And there's so many people that have shared their stories saying thank you for creating this. This was very much needed. People that like we created this community that you could tell like people just wanted, right? So from then on, it just became like my passion. And like I think our group became very passionate because we saw all these people like telling us their like heartfelt stories and their experiences and their struggles. And it resonated with us because we went through that, right? And we never thought, the crazy thing is that we went through it, but we never thought anybody else was going through it like us, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like we have this great community, and and I think it has a bright future. And we're starting to build our e-board, our executive board, and we've gotten some veterinarians on to be a part of it. And we're creating a bunch of programs right now. I'm designing the website. And just creating kind of a directory and all these resources that we can't wait to like let out in the world for everybody to enjoy. And
so exciting. And it's amazing to see how other organizations like DVM 360 are kind of like picking it up and being like, you know what, you're doing a super good thing, I want to jump on board that and like support it. So it's cool.
No, 100%. And and the thing is, we also get a lot of people contacting us from Latin American countries and saying like, they're like, how can we be a part of it? It's like left and right, we're getting different organizations that want to collaborate. Like Pride VMC has been a huge organization that's been trying to help us out in every way that they can, right? And it's just so beautiful to see how like the vet community kind of comes together to try and make this happen, right? Like make our vision happen. And because I think they see the importance of this community, right? Like the unique thing about Latin people is that we all speak the same language, right? No matter what country we're from, we all speak Spanish, and we can all connect in that same sense. And that's kind of what makes us unique from other like cultural organizations, right? So and we're very much very lively people. We're very warm. We like to dance and like drink and like hug each other. We're very touchy-feely, but like and we understand that about each other. So it makes it even feel like more like home, right? And everyone feels like they belong even more. So so that's the goal. That's the passion. And I think it has a really bright future, and it's something that's beyond my school, right?
Yeah.
It's something that is going to affect me throughout my career. So I'm really passionate about it. I'm excited for the future and see what is going to come out of it.
Definitely. Big things, I reckon. Big things.
Hopefully.
How do you kind of manage your time with all that? Because of course, like doing an Instagram live, although it's like great, it still takes up like an hour of your day, and then you've got like more time that you need to spend on growing the community and everything, and then on top of that you have to do all your studying. How do you kind of keep it all together?
Honestly, I think that's one of the hardest parts, right? And I'm sure you could attest to that. I think that everybody in this profession is very much of a yes person, and we love to spread ourselves way too thin, right? And me, myself, I've always been like that. I've always taken on so many things at once, and somehow I get it done, right? But unfortunately, actually, this year, I struggled so hard with, like, very, very much with that aspect of my personality, right?
Yeah.
During the start of the year, I decided to, get involved with this and that and create this at my school and everything. So then I found myself like mid-year, really struggling. I had so much on my plate, and that it was affecting like the work I was doing, right? So I wasn't generating good quality work because I had so many things going on, right? Even my grades, everything. Like it seemed like I was disappointing a lot of people, right? And I struggled with that a lot. And like I was part of the Global Vets program. I was going to travel this summer to South America to do veterinary community outreach. But obviously that was canceled because of COVID, but that took up a lot of my time. And yeah, and I felt like my relationships with some people were being affected, even with faculty, because I was like, you know, like I did it to myself. There's nobody to blame, but it was hard for people to understand that, right? Like, and for me as a person, like I'm definitely one of those that cannot say no to people. So I met with a couple people. I met with some faculty and some really good friends, and I had kind of had to like sit down and reevaluate my life and like how I was going about tackling different things in my life, right? And different projects that I was doing. And through that, I discovered that I had to start saying no, and I had to start taking things off my plate, which is the hardest thing. Like once you commit to something, being like, oh, I have to drop out of this, it's literally kills me inside. But it had to be done. It had to be done, and I did it somehow. And all of a sudden, everything started becoming a lot easier, and I started producing much better work, and I started feeling like I was gaining those relationships back with people that I had, that the relationships that were affected prior to everything, right? So usually, okay, so I try not to look at the bigger picture, right? Because if you look at the bigger picture, you freak yourself out. Like
Tell me about it.
yeah, I literally had such a slap in the face moment this year, and I had to really, like I said, like reevaluate everything. But I needed to like start taking everything one day at a time, right? Before I used to look at my week and I'm like, oh my God, I have this exam, I have this assignment, I have all these labs, and I felt hopeless. And like I spent like 3 hours freaking out without doing anything, right? So then I started to like ignore the rest of my week and just take everything maybe 2 days in advance. That's it, and to be prepared. And then I started finding myself that I was even more proficient and I was getting things done a lot faster. I'm very much of a crammer too. So I work very well under pressure. Like I thrive. I almost look for under pressure opportunities because that's just the crazy person I am, I guess.
I can relate. I hate it, but I can relate.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of us are the same, right? And we're very much type A people, so I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. But so I started, just looking at every day separately and getting everything done, and somehow like you get it done. I don't even know how to explain it. Sometimes I'm like, wow, this week I got all this done, and I don't even know how I found the time, right? A big thing for me is working out, right? So we were talking about that earlier. When I had school and I had everything going on and everything was piled on, I definitely took like an hour to 2 hours a day to just go to the gym and like have that like release of any stress, any bad energy, and like just kind of refuel myself.
Yeah.
And I found that after that, I was able to like study better. I was just like more awake. I was I was like sharp, and I just got things done a lot easier. Like it did wonders for me, and that's why I became kind of addicted to it. Because I would go like 2 to 3 hours a day sometimes at the start, and then I started going like twice a day, breaking it up, and so I had to like cut myself off a little bit. But obviously, it's a good addiction, right? But also, it took over a good part of my day, so it was making me feel even busier at moments. But it was definitely the much needed release that I needed to be able to have a clear mind and be like very like productive and kind of calm with my mind and everything.
I think I just want to go back to the fact that you actually went and sat down with faculty and people that you trusted, and it's a testament to yourself that you were actually brave enough to go and get help. Like, you recognize that, look, things weren't working. I need to change something. Where can I get help to change this? I think that's a really big thing. I'm proud of you for that.
Honestly, it was probably one of the hardest things. I like, you know, I felt very like defeated. I felt like a lot of people like thought, you know, I was in my head of what people thought about me then, right? And I think that plays a huge part for every vet student. You know, we're such small classrooms that we become like this small family that like it almost feels like everybody's in your business. And then all of a sudden what everybody thinks like really matters, right? So I had to learn how to train myself to be like, okay, you're your own person, you're your authentic self, just be that and be okay with that, because pleasing other people is only going to make it worse, right? And coming to the realization that I was like, hey, I need to talk to somebody, and even talking to a counselor, right? Like saying that and making that move is insane. Like, you don't realize how much you need it until you actually do it, and you're like, whoa, like, yo, if I could recommend this to everybody.
Yes, go get help if you think you need it. It's definitely a good thing. I found myself doing the same. I think it was third year. I went to a guidance counselor as well, because I had just like I was the yes person doing everything, and then I also got really sick and far out. It was just like so intense, and I was like, I need to do something about this. But that first step of like booking the appointment, it was quite like I told so many people prior to that, I was like, just go ask for help, like it's fine. But then doing it myself, I was like, I don't want to ask for help.
Same. No, oh my God. I'm like the type of person that gives advice but never takes my own. So I can totally relate. It's a huge step, you know, like feeling like you have a mental health problem. Like, it's like, whoa, like, you know, there's such a bad stigma to it. But like with the type of environment that we're in, the curriculum, like the amount of stress and the expectations that we have, it's almost like necessary. You know, like it's something that you just have to learn to accept, and doesn't mean that you're crazy, doesn't mean that you're less of a human or a future professional. You know, if anything, it makes you much stronger and more of a role model for other people.
Exactly.
You know, silver linings. That's all
it. Go back to your silver linings, 100%.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for today. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure everybody else back home would have enjoyed it too. Definitely got some tips out there, and knowing that it's okay to ask for help and everything. So thank you so much. And it was great getting to talk to you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry. I didn't
No, you're good. You're good. I shall catch you on Instagram, and I'm sure everybody else will too.
Yes, me too. Like, let's keep connected. If you guys want to follow me, I'm sure you'll put a little handle. And if you guys ever have any questions, reach out. Also, the VetMedkid is the bomb. And thank you for doing this and for creating this platform. You're awesome. I can't wait to meet you and party with you.
Woo!
And give you. Woo!
Much love. Righto. Thanks again. Bye.
All right. Bye.